Hello and welcome to Tax Matters. My name is Pearl Namaka.
And I'm Chiamaka Ohaochi.
The Federal Inland Revenue Service is the #1 revenue agency in Nigeria with the mandate to collect all federal taxes for and on behalf of the entire federation.
As the Executive Chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, Mr. Babatunde Fowler, likes to say, the taxes that FIRS collects, it does on behalf of the 3 tiers of government and everybody. Because like we all know, at the end of every month, the 3 tiers of government converge on Abuja to collect their share of the so-called federation accounts.
From Wednesday 6th through Thursday 7th of June 2018, a new set of management and staff members of the FIRS were inducted into the service. The men and women had resumed at various times in the past, but it was important that they be formally welcomed into the FIRS family.
We have assembled all of you to provide relevant training on the structure of the FRS, the various groups, and their departments, functions, as well as the major policies of the service and the organizational culture of the Federal Inland Revenue Service. The service places a lot of emphasis on individuals. You are the most important asset of the service, and you are welcome. It places emphasis on group performance, and so the essence for teamwork or team spirit.
Mr. Babatunde Fowler is the Executive Chairman of the FIRS.
Welcome, colleagues. And let me congratulate my new colleagues. Actually, out of over 750,000 people that applied, you have been chosen. So congratulations. Some of you might have applied for this job simply because you want a job. Some of you might have an interest in taxation. Some of you might say that the FIRS has a ring to its name, or it's a good place to work. But whatever reason you applied for, this is a good place to be. Now, what is the main objective of the Federal Inland Revenue Service? And I'm not going to be too technical, but basically it's to fund government at all tiers. It's supposed to fund government at the federal, state, and local government levels. So every month, we have a report card. Any month we do not collect enough revenue, that means the federal government, state government, or local government does not have enough money to fund its services and activities. Now, why do we need to collect revenue? A lot of us complain about government. They complain about government because there are not enough policemen, there's not enough ambulances on the highways, not enough police cars, not enough nice tarred roads. And if we ask any of you, what has government done for you lately, you most likely say nothing, because maybe the road in front of your house has not been tarred. Now, these are all expectations from the people. And the expectation from the people that has to be fulfilled by the government, either at the federal, state, or local government level, requires revenue. And that is where we come in. Now, it's not a situation that is only common to Nigeria. It's actually a developing country situation.
Mr. Fowler situated the tax administration system within the international setup.
Whatever natural resource that you can think of, oil, diamonds, gold, Africa has 30% of all the world's natural resources. And a lot of countries, especially in Africa, relied on revenue from those sales of those resources, while the developed countries relied on reforming their tax administration systems. And so we found ourselves in a situation whereby the price of oil kept on fluctuating, the price of gold, price of diamonds, price of every natural commodity kept on fluctuating. So we found ourselves in a situation whereby government could not fund its own budgets. And this situation was taken up at the African Union, And we were mandated as tax administrators to ensure that we can fund our own budgets through taxation. So it's an African mandate. But it's also a mandate that we've been given in FIRS by the presidency. We're expected to fund the current and future budgets with what we call non-oil tax revenue. To date, we've been able to turn the table and we fund government to the tune of about 65% from non-oil tax revenue.
Mr. Fowler continued on this jocular note.
The work before you is there. The work is very interesting. You might find yourself at certain parties and they'll refer to you as a tax collector. And to some of your friends who have decided to spend some money who are not tax compliant, but decide not to tell you about the new things they've bought in case you come back later and ask them for their tax payments. But all that comes with the job. You'll find out that after a while, they'll get used to you. And if you don't like the title tax collector, then call yourself a revenue generator. You can call yourself whatever you want to call yourself. But just know that you're in the field of tax administration.
And this charge?
Our main mandate is to provide funding for this country. Nobody is going to develop Nigeria for us. We cannot rely on aid. We cannot rely on donor assistance. We have to do it by ourselves. I tell people that you may have a leader with a great vision, but a vision without money remains a dream. We're here to make those dreams come to pass. And that is why we have chosen you. So you've been given a very delicate, a very important job. You will have temptations. You will find some people that will try to compromise you. But I plead with you, never be compromised. You will find sometimes family members might say, but I'm your uncle. Tell your colleagues to look the other way. It now becomes your job to become a preacher. Because in tax administration, you'll be a preacher, you'll be a doctor, you'll be a businessman. You're going to have so many calls on your skills, all wrapped up into one. But at the end of the day, just remember that this job you're doing is for love of country and for love of humanity.
Every day, my people, they for work. Some they do office work. Some get it them own business. So all of them want good road. Constant power for better life. Whether now office work, oh yeah. Pay your tax. Whether now your own business, oh. Pay your tax. If you want a better life, oh. Pay your tax. Now your civic responsibility. Pay your tax. Better soup, now money cook am oh. Oh yes. Nothing goes for nothing, my brother. If you want potable water, security and hospital for make life jolly.
That's right. Good roads, good hospitals, portable water, adequate security all come from taxpayers' money. Play your part in making Nigeria great. Everybody, small scale, big companies, entrepreneurs, do the right thing. Pay your tax. This message is from the Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS.
An interactive session followed the chairman's speech.
With the magnitude of work being done in FIRS and the achievements so far, I'm wondering if the management or the board would also be involved in the execution of the infrastructure matters in the federal level to make sure that this revenue, accrued can be executed very well so that taxpayers will be more compliant. Because that is basically the issue, why some people don't pay taxes, because they think, the revenue accrued are not being used properly.
That's an extremely good comment. A lot of taxpayers would say, what has government done with the revenue already collected? What we do as tax administrators is provide information to government that this is what the people are saying. But our main responsibility is to collect the revenue, but not to get involved in the expenditure of that revenue. well, we provide a feedback mechanism to let government know what the taxpayers are saying, because you interface with them on a daily basis and you get to know exactly their thinking, their thoughts, and we transmit that information to government.
Some religious organizations, they operate like business enterprises. I want to ask, do they pay taxes? And if they don't pay, why are they not paying taxes? Because you can see most of these religious organizations, they fly private jets, they build houses, they do other types of businesses. Are they paying taxes?
Okay, very good. Now, by the Constitution and worldwide, religious organizations do not pay tax on religious matters or spiritual matters. But once they get into the commercial domain, for example, they have a bookshop, they sell books, they sell tapes, they sell candles, they sell prayer rugs, all those things. Anytime they have any commercial activity for sale, then they have to pay tax on that. Or they set up a university, they have to pay tax. So we separate the spiritual activities from the commercial activities. And yes, they have been paying tax, and we've been monitoring their activities. Now, if they happen to have a private jet, which they buy from your offering or your Thanksgiving, as long as you do not rent out that private jets, then we can't tax the purchase of that asset. But to certain tax like VAT, they will pay VAT on certain items as long as they're not being used for religious or spiritual activities.
In the course of the two-day event, the inductees were taken through the role and structure, as well as the functions of the various groups and departments of the service.
Alhaji Kunle Oseni is the director in charge of the Federal Engagement and Enlightenment Tax Team of the FIRS.
Tax administration is a process. It has a beginning and it has an ending. And they are interwoven. It's like a chain of events. The beginning is fit. We go out, sensitize people, engage people, educate people. When we know those who are not in the tax net, we put in efforts to bring them into the tax net. And the process goes into the next stage, assessment. The tax offices will raise assessment or will collect self-assessment from these individuals or from these corporate bodies. After that, the process goes into accounts, collection. Collection must ensure that all assessments raised by the assessment department are collected. If there is any reason why an assessment was not paid, then the process goes on to enforcement. In enforcement, there are two ways that we do enforcement. It could stay in legal, and the company may be taken to court. Or we may go for outright enforcement after all the due processes. And we have been doing that very well. And the record shows that no single company that was enforced took us to court. That means we are doing things by the books. And they pay. Even if they cannot pay the total amount in full, they come begging the executive chairman so that he could approve installmental payments. Because at that level, at that time, there is no more negotiation. You are owing 100 million that has been established, and you are advised, and you did nothing to pay. By the time your case gets to legal or enforcement, there is no room for negotiation. It has become final and conclusive.
The new inductees were decorated with the FIRS lapel pins, while the oath of secrecy and allegiance was also administered on them. They were also presented with the service's policy documents and identity cards.
London, New York or Lagos, business or holiday, home or office. You can now carry out your tax transactions from anywhere in the world. You can now file all your tax returns, pay online, get a receipt and even process your tax clearance certificate from anywhere in the world online and in real time. All you need to do is log on to www.firs.gov.ng and click on e-services and be introduced to the world of innovation, convenience and transparency from the FIRS. You can also pay stamp duty as you register a new company with the CAC or for other transactions that require stamp duty payment online. You can also file your withholding tax returns and determine the withholding tax deducted from you is in government coffers so that you can get your receipt within 45 days as long as the deduction has been remitted. Yes, all of this and more online at www.firs.gov.ng/e-services. FIRS, making tax administration as easy as ABC. Please note that all FIRS services are free of charge. This message is from the Federal Inland Revenue Service. It pays to pay your tax.
Thanks for staying with us. In the story that we just told you of the FIRS induction ceremony, Mr. Fowler spoke about the variety of skills that are put together to work at the FIRS. Whatever the area of discipline of the employee, once he or she becomes a tax collector, then it becomes imperative that that official becomes a member of the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria.
Now, that could be by training, by examination, or by direct admission. Whatever it is a badge of honor to be a member or fellow of the CITN. Now, the CITN is organized along district societies. At the last count, there were 34 district societies spread along the length and breadth of Nigeria.
On Saturday, the 18th of August 2018, the Lagos District Society, widely regarded as the leading district, hosted the investiture of the 16th chairman of the district and induction of executive members for 2018 to 2020.
The investiture of Mr. Joel Adebayo Adeyeye, chartered banker, chartered accountant, chartered stockbroker, and above all, chartered tax practitioner, was well attended by an array of leading lights in the taxation subsector in Nigeria. To set the tone for the event, a guest lecture was presented by Mr. Aziz Alatoye.
So many people believe that taxation practice is an appendage of some other professions. But what I want to drive home today is that we must develop taxation practice in Nigeria beyond where we are today. Because the practice we have actually need developmental schemes. And most of those practices that are already on ground also need to grow beyond where they are. The focus this afternoon for a very brief period is to look at sustainable taxation practice development. And when I say taxation practice, I don't mean accounting practice with taxation as an appendage. No, I mean only one practice, and that is tax. The second thing is to consider the growth of the practices that we have now from a national practice to international practice. Some of us that are in only tax practice, we don't do audits, we don't do anything. All we do is only tax. And people are asking, how do you survive? You are doing only tax? We said, look, it's not only even how we are surviving locally. We want to go to international level and open offices outside Nigeria. Two things are very important that I want to draw our attention to for a sustainable practice. And the first thing is our professional rules and practice guideline. I would recommend chapter 2 of that book to us. Then the second thing that we need to do as practitioners is to also focus on the use of our standards. If we use those standards very well, they are going to be very helpful to us.
Special guest of honor was Mr. Richard Giwa Osage. Who is Joel Adebayo Adeyeye?
When we talk of someone who is straightforward, when we talk of integrity, when we talk of honesty, we have all these qualities in Bayo. Mayor is a man, a gentleman of gentlemen.
The outgoing chairman of the District of Excellence seized the occasion of her handing over speech to pledge her loyalty to the incoming administration.
I wish to state that in addition to my very comprehensive handing over notes to the incoming chairman, I remain loyal to the District of Excellence and available for any assistance or consultation as the case may be.
In the speech of the CITM president presented on his behalf by the deputy president, the president reminded the gathering of the landmark decision of the FIRS regarding tax practice in Nigeria.
The Federal Inland Revenue Service has approved that with effect from January 2019, it is mandatory for professionals filing tax returns on behalf of their clients to affix CITM stamp and seal in all returns submitted to the service. This development is a critical step in our institute's drive towards professionalism in the tax system. We urge members who are yet to obtain their practicing licenses to do so without further delay. We are confident that in the not too distant future, this scenario will be replicated at the various revenue authorities at the state level.
And then the moment everyone had been waiting for, the end of an era and the beginning of a new one.
The occasion was also used to swear in executive members of the district for 2018 to 2020. In his acceptance speech, the new district chairman, Mr. Adeyeye, had this to say.
In the honor of history of CITN Lagos District Society, we have reached another milestone today, where the baton of leadership has to pass on. Coincidentally, fate has thrust this upon me to receive the baton to be the captain of our team for the next 2 chairman's year. With all humility, sense of duty and responsibility, I accept the role. When we cast our mind back to the activities of our district society in the last few years, it is evident that we have made giant strides, which have thus put us in front runners among our peers, that is, other districts. The task ahead of the team is in no doubt enormous and quite challenging moving forward. As the chairman of the District of Excellence, my tenure will consolidate on the legacies laid by the forerunners of the district that hand us the appellation District of Excellence, and thus sustaining its image as District of Excellence in professionalism, ethics, and other core values. In pursuit of this, we shall build on the programs of the immediate past regime, which expanded on the ideas and the ideas of past administrations.
Goodwill messages were delivered by various stakeholders. Supporters of the district were recognized with awards. Tax Matters spoke with the outgoing chairman.
What do you expect from the new chairman and his executive members going forward?
Well, going forward for the district, a lot of precedents has been laid. A lot of foundation has been laid. So it's not a question of them just beginning to make a name for themselves. So for them, I would even say it's easy for them to actually thrive on what other past chairmen have already laid down as a foundation. So they should just strive to sustain and outpass whatever has been laid down.
And the new chairman of the district.
What's your aim as the 16th chairman of the Lagos District Society of the CITN?
Well, there's a lot. But the focal point is that, one, we want to make sure that we comb the length and breadth of our catchment area to ensure that we carry the gospel of taxation across the catchment area. And again, because of what is going on in the country, professionals need to be self-reliant. We want to build up the capacity of our members to make them self-reliant.
This is wishing the new inductees at the FIRS and the new helmsmen and women at the CITN District of Excellence the very best now and in the future.
And here's wishing our viewers out there the very best. Let's do this again next week.
Bye for now.